We do? Okay.
You're already being recorded.
So then,
I'll let them sit there, sweat, and be nervous for a minute, right?
The name of our ministry is Huella de Impacto. It means point of impact. And our long-term plan is to this would be our teen center. Right now we're living in it because we didn't have the other building finished. We had actually moved into this before it was ready to live into. But we now have hot water, all the electricity, and all those good things that we didn't have at the beginning. We're trying to finish this house over here first. That will be our first home. It was supposed to be the first home for our teen, because we want to have a teen center and a teen home for kids, because the teens are usually the ones that are hardest to place, and it's not as safe to put them with younger kids, just because of all the things they went through, and it's been one of our hearts to work with youth. So that's our long-term plan. At this moment, we are actually going to be moving into that as our home. Patty and David and Manuel are all of the kids that actually came over from the other orphanages with us. They've lived here since we got the property in 2022. 2020, was it 22? 21. And so our long-term goal is to have this a teen center. We want to make a second story on this with a big sanctuary and kind of a space for gathering events to be able to be held here in a safe place for teens to go. And then we want homes for teens. And so the plan, I've got plans out there you guys can look at, but the plan is to put two single or double story homes, so split level homes like King's Kids was. One over here, so a second one on top of the one that we're building here, and then in the back corner of the property we'll also do another one. So we'll have 4 homes on this property to start off with, and start off with, that's our, at this point, probably 5-year plus goal. But yeah, that's our heart.
So how many kids do you have living with you now?
We currently have
1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
count.
7, 8. There's 10 of us living in the house right now.
Right.
So there's, they're from babies to adults.
And how many of these are biologically yours?
Just one's biological.
Right. And then the other 7?
Well, so our...
Am I right with the count? The other 7?
yeah, that's right.
And some of them you're adopting in the process, and some of them are ones that you're in care of.
Yeah, they're kind of like foster care style.
Yeah.
But all of them have been with us for 10 years.
Yeah, so there's you and Brandon, your daughter, and then 6 others who have all been with you for a very long time. Some of them were in foster care, and some of them you were adopting.
Yeah.
Correct.
And everyone that is in this house, we've had since they were between 4 and 6 years older or younger.
Yeah.
Right.
So, Patsy, we started working at the orphanage and living at the orphanage when she was 4.
That's the one right there. You gotta watch this one.
So cute and little.
Yeah. And then what happened, Patty?
One of our front page logos was her getting in the water with snot dripping down her nose. It's one of my favorite pictures.
Oh, you had to tell that story.
How old now?
She's 15, going on 15.
Patty.
Her quinceanera. That's our next big event that we're having right now is her quinceanera, which is next month. So she's a couple weeks away from 15. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, our 2 oldest girls that were in the process of adoption, you met Teresa. She just got married to her husband's son-in-law. He also lives here, so that's extra. That's more than, that's not, these are doing, okay. And so they're actually living in the house over there. It's not plumbed yet. We do have basic electricity, but it's pretty badly wired, so they can only use just basic lights and stuff. And they've got 1 direct line for their AC. They got 1 AC, so it's a blessing for them.
They have AC.
But yeah, so that we're still waiting on getting all of pretty much the septic tank, which we just talked about, and then plumbing and electrical. And then of course all the finish work. There's no tiling, there's no, most of the walls are bare. You can see the brick outside. So most of all of it has to be sealed. The roof is completely finished. the walls are there. They just need to be finished.
And Big Pete helped them with the blueprints and drawings for this place too.
Yeah, yeah.
He was out here and took measurements and went, how did Mexicans build these places? He's just amazed at the corners and the angles and the measurements he was wrestling with.
No 90-degree angles.
No.
Yeah, he couldn't figure out why.
No, nothing plumb.
Yeah, the walls literally go like this, and so when he was trying to do measurements and angles, the angles were right on the corners, but because the walls, some of the walls were off up to 8 inches from the original lines, and so he was
Even
just.
the fancy ones get like that.
Yeah, he was saying that like this is all within 6 to 12 inches variance, but it gives us an idea for building.
There's this thing you can buy in Home Depot, it's called a level.
Yeah, so we actually bought this property from an older gentleman. He actually had a store here that he kind of bootlegged alcohol after hours, selling it. So they have a name for that in Mexico. But he lived here and he built all of this by hand. So it's very apparent, but
Was he-
Drank some of the alcohol.
Was he under
while
the
he was-
influence?
I would be shocked as if he wasn't. But,
So how much land do you have here?
It's about 4,300 meters squared. So it's a little bit less than an hectare. So like
A little over 2 acres.
a little less than 2 acres.
Well, that's okay.
Yeah, because a hectare has 2.2 acres.
Yes, okay.
So I think that we're somewhere around there.
And
But
you're-
there's plenty of room for
6.
you to do what you want.
Yeah. The plans that we have will fill this property pretty well. We want to put a big warehouse for being able to do projects and maintenance. And one of our biggest hearts is to kind of do what I've called micro trades, where we actually teach the kids how to like do mechanics and construction. We've even got CNC machines, and I've got a couple 3D printers, things like that. I want to be able to teach these kids skills that they can bring to the future, and have a place where they can, like I said, just be here. Have a place where they can print off their schoolwork and where they can get help with school. There's just not a lot of options, and so.
The way I understand it is DEEF no longer takes care of them after their 18th birthday, and your aim is to look after them and give them a home after their 18th birthday.
Yeah, their goal is to help them until they're 18, but most of these kids are here because DEEF pretty much didn't take care of them.
Right.
So yeah, our heart is like a lot of them just come from orphanages or the streets or whatever. Our heart is to really bring in the support that they need to be able, like what they would get in a healthy, functioning family. So we don't want to have a lot of kids here. Actually, we want smaller numbers so that we can really invest that much more deeply in each of the youth. And so like our daughter and her husband and the baby living here, it's actually part of our ministry is to bring support to young families that are young, don't know what they're doing, and to have jobs and are working and trying to do, doing everything that they can to support their family, but it's hard. You can't rent a house on one income. You can't do a lot of things. And so, we have kids that are, well, they're all in school, they're all, continuing their education or working or doing both. And, but it's really giving them that support that you would usually have from your family, right? If you're from a family home, a healthy family home. So yeah, it extends into the young adult years is our mission, our heart.
We really want to be able to be a beacon in the community because we know how the government is. Like the government, say even in Hermosillo, their organization is even more, runs a little bit smoother than it does here. Here, when we were working with the orphanage before, when we actually had the full orphanage, we would actually give the social workers rides to go pick up kids or to do special things, like if they needed to go to doctors and things like that. DEEF has always offered, the government has offered those kind of services. Like you can go to the state facilities for like dental and medical and even psychology. They had offering. I don't think it was very good, but they had the availability. But they didn't even, they had one car that they shared between like 10 different people that would go out and do this kind of stuff. And so the ability to handle that is just so tough. And when we had about 5 orphanages closed at like towards the end of COVID time, in the area, and all these kids were displaced. The government didn't have any place for them, and so what they did here, because they had absolutely no other options, is they called any family member that would be able to accept them, and they did not go through any processes at all to connect these people and make sure that they were even okay, or do classes to facilitate like how to do parenting, or one of the rules is they're supposed to do like psychological evaluations. They didn't do a lot of those kind of things. They just bypassed it all, and a lot of these kids went into a much worse atmosphere than they were in before because they had no other options. And I want to be able to be able to help facilitate that. I want to be able to be an option for helping place kids in safe homes. We don't really like an orphanage. I think it's really a second-rate. Second rate to a family. It's literally just the better option than a street, and we want to make that location like a home for kids as safe and as much like a family atmosphere as possible. And so, specifically with teens, our limits will be 4 to 5 per home in these houses. So there won't be a whole lot of kids because we want to be able to give as much care as possible to them. So that's our long-term plan. Right now, this last year, going into the beginning of this upcoming year, we are kind of on a respite and break. We've been through a whole lot of things and just needed to kind of heal and recharge and get ready for going forward with the rest of the stuff. And so during COVID, we kind of started going through the processes of getting all of our approvals and all the paperwork and everything that we needed to get this officially an orphanage or a casa hogar. But we have still a lot of that to go. We put all that on pause for about a year while we're just resting. And in January, we're going to kind of look at it again and see where we're at with our board and what we all think that we should be doing. If we should take a little bit more of a break and continue focusing on. We're still doing ministry, but we've stopped doing any community outreaches. We stopped doing any of the plans for expansion, and just kind of just been here for the kids and try to focus on our personal healing. Sabbatical. Yeah. Our personal healing, but also just the healing of all the kids in this home. So, all these guys have had extra time with us and extra time with sports and those kind of things, and we've just been trying to be available for all of that and get through it all. I was gone for 10 months to work because we needed finances, and now I get to work remotely here, which is a huge blessing to not have to be away from everyone.
So you're working for a company in the United States. How many hours a week does that take you?
It just they just put me on like more limited hours, but I was 40 hours a week until recently. So right now I'm probably between 25 and 35, depending on what
on the demand.
Yeah.
So do you work per job?
So I actually work for an HVAC company. My background has been IT, so I do a lot of IT support work. But then I also do customer service, just calls. A lot of my job is confirmations for visits and stuff like that. We've got about 15 service guys that go out, and so it's kind of keeping everyone going. They've all got electronic devices. I make sure that it's all working in the field, and if they have problems, they call me. So
Super.
Is your internet Starlink?
Yep, that's pretty much the only option here.
Yeah.
I would think so, yeah.
Yeah, we actually before that worked with Brian and Clarissa Cron and Aqua de Amor, and we actually had an internet set up in a local area with somebody, and I set up wireless internet to broadcast out to their place, which is about 10 kilometers that way, and it would go print right over our property. And we had a receiving dish on this side too, so we would get internet, they would get internet, and we were all doing school online and stuff at the time, but Starlink is drastically more effective.
You guys got any questions for them?
Would you guys like to see the plans?
Yeah.
It's out in the hot again.
They're really moving fast to go out in the hot again, aren't they? Maris, are you staying here to
No,
visit?
I'll come along.
All right.
I'm in for the duration.